The most popular watch in the world is a dive watch, the Rolex Submariner. Divers are not just my favorite watch, but I suspect a lot of yours also. Even though most of us probably never go diving, it doesn't take away the fact that they look really good and versatile. The right dive watch could be dressed up or down and have just the right amount of character without being too bold. Don't get me wrong, I love dress watches, but there's something about a dive watch that just looks really good. I think it's the combination of the sporty design and the functionality with the rotating timing bezel. Because of the popularity of dive watches, we have many different styles to choose from. There are Russian divers, classic three-handers, luxury, and many others. In this video, we'll look at the 5 most popular style of dive watches. Let's get into it. The first style we'll look at are multi-time zone divers. These not only have the rotating timing bezel, but also feature a second time zone with the additional 24-hour watch hand. This additional feature could be quite useful, especially if you travel often or have family and friends in other areas. Within this category, there are some amazing watches available. The Baltic Aquascaphe GMT has a lot of character offered by a fantastic independent micro brand. The Beads of Rice bracelet is really nice as well. Another independent micro brand I really like, Christopher Ward, has one of my favorite GMT dive watches with their Trident C65. I'm a sucker for a gorgeous blue dial, and the Longines absolutely nails it with the Zulu Time GMT. I really like the clean lines and orange accents to help give the dial a little pop. The next style of dive watch are internal rotating bezel divers. In contrast to external bezels, which are set on top of the watch, internal bezels are fitted underneath the glass and typically controlled by a second crown. Hamilton is one of my favorite affordable Swiss watch brands, and they have a really awesome internal bezel diver with the Khaki Aviation Pilot Pioneer. This collection comes in various color options and is a very utilitarian tool watch. Oris also offers some great internal bezel dive watches. The Royal Flying Doctor Service Limited Edition 2 is absolutely gorgeous, and instead of the second additional crown to rotate the bezel, Oris has added the functionality to the main crown, which keeps a cleaner aesthetic. Another great example is from Jaeger Lecoultre with the Polaris. This might be one of the most recognizable internal bezel dive watches and a legend in their own right. Moving on, we have another popular style of dive watch, and that's luxury divers. Although the price is high, these watches have a lot of diver heritage and built like a tank. There would be no dive watch if it wasn't for the Pioneer, the 50 Fathoms. This watch started it all, and since its release, paved the way for the mass appeal of dive watches. Another fan favorite luxury dive watch is the Superocean from Breitling. Like many collections, this one comes in a wide array of color options. What I really like about the Superocean is the larger chapter ring adding depth to the dial. Another favorite is the Omega Planet Ocean. The additional crown is actually the helium escape valve to allow for deeper water resistance and adds a very distinct characteristic people know to be a planet ocean. The fourth style of dive watches are fun, colorful, and have a lot of history. Russian divers. The most known of this category is Vostok, who released their first Soviet Amphibia dive watch in 1967, and since that time has built a cult following. In addition to the Amphibia, they also make the Komandirskie, which is just as stylish and different than most watches available. Another popular maker of Russian dive watches is Peugeot. Although a little more tame than Vostok, their watches maintain the characteristics familiar with Russian divers while adding their own flavor. The last style of dive watch, and probably the most common and popular, is the classic three-handers. Within this category, we find the most options, and there's some really amazing legends that are available. Starting at the low end of the price range, there is the Casio Duro. For only $50, this watch packs a huge punch, comes in a multitude of colors, and is built better than you'd think for the price. Another classic three-hander I absolutely love is the Seiko 62 Moss. The skin diver case adds a fresh perspective on the classic dive watch design, and the dial is clean and functional. Moving upward in price is a collection of dive watches that put Tudor on the radar of watch lovers around the world, the Black Bay. Since the first release in 2012, Tudor has released various versions, colors, and complications to the Black Bay family.